Oopsie daisy, didn't want to do that.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, hello. Hi.
Hey there.
Oh, Ellen disappeared.
I can't hear anybody. Can you hear me?
I can
I can hear you, Bob.
hear me, Bob. Bob, I could hear you, but
Okay,
you
I hear
can't.
you.
Can you hear? Good. And here comes Ellen again. He's trying again.
There. I'm back in again.
All right.
Hi, hi.
Good.
Hello, everyone.
Greetings.
Hi there.
On this kind of bleak day. Could be worse. It could be snowing.
That's true.
But some people like snow. Okay. 1, 2. Do we know if Jen's coming? Becky?
I didn't hear one way or the other.
Okay. I'm trying to remember if she said anything at the last meeting, and I don't recall.
Oh, shoot.
Having difficulty, Becky?
Did you share Steve's email with it doesn't look like you did either. I
No.
thought I had sent, yeah, I got it halfway sent. I'm forwarding it now.
Is
So
this the
I thought I had forwarded it, but it bombed.
oh,
Okay, so this is going to, this is really weird.
is this the one on Wednesday at 9:35?
I believe so, yeah. Oh, I was right. Sorry, it's one of those got interrupted and my computer crashed. Okay. So AJ and Bob are familiar with this issue at the last finance committee meeting. They were reviewing an extended budget that Steve Sullivan was presenting, and in it there was an increase of $12,000 in materials. And here comes Steve now. And the explanation from Steve was that he needed significant quantities of material to start rebuilding the depth of the roads that had been worn down to their bare bones. So, and I apologize, Steve, I thought I had emailed it earlier to the whole committee, but I can put it up on screen for the committee to review.
Well, before we do that, can we approve the minutes?
Of course.
Yeah, let's give, maybe that'll give Jen time to get here if she's just a little delayed. Okay, before we get going on Steve's request, we received the minutes. And do I have a motion pertaining to the minutes?
Are we going to discuss after we make the motion? Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works. We make the motion and then we second it and then we can discuss it.
Okay, then I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes in that case.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, now is there any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make just one small correction, Michael. Under the police, you have request. I don't know if that's a technical term, but I think it might mean
request. It was a typo. Yeah, I noticed that.
Also, you have, and I'm surprised because I wasn't aware or didn't comprehend that you say that our share, that is the town's share of the police department's request for body cams is 11,368. Is that accurate? Is that what our share is supposed to be after we get a 50% grant?
Yes. Yes, it was a $23,000.
Okay, that surprised me. I thought it was less than money than that, but I must have been thinking about an individual camera or something.
Probably.
Okay.
So what were you objecting to otherwise?
I wasn't objecting. I was just making sure that number was accurate.
Before that you said something about
request under the police. You
up
said
up in your speed boards. Will not be included in the request. You left the S out.
Oh.
On request.
Okay, that's
That's
Oh,
very
yeah,
easy.
yeah. Microsoft noticed that too. I just didn't. So.
You didn't, yeah, because Microsoft a lot of times notices things that aren't that are
Yeah,
correct
no.
in the way we use them.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
now my question though on it is repair on the building committee. The second line, the amount needed exceeds $0, comma, 000. You're trying to say we don't know what the total amount will be ever? Or I'm puzzled on your,
What is this?
okay. On the building committee report, second
Oh.
paragraph, second line.
Oh,
Third line.
yeah, that was supposed to be 40, right? That second
Thank you.
dollar sign was supposed to be a 40.
Thank you.
Or there we go. Good
Oh,
Yeah.
catch.
just missed the shift.
Yes, easy to do.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Only because, other people will read these
Yep,
after
no,
they get to the
you
town
know,
clerk.
my secretarial skills are not the reason I'm on this committee, but
Yeah,
doing it for your benefit.
but
So
I'll tell
nobody
you,
else wants to do it.
we very much appreciate your secretarial skills. Because none of us want to be secretary. Okay.
All right, I'll make those changes. I have made those.
Thank you.
changes.
Thank you very much. Okay, now getting back to the business of the gravel.
Wait a minute, are we gonna vote
Oh.
on these minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so is there any other discussion on the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting is corrected. Please
Groves,
say aye.
Groves, aye.
Cash,
Aye.
aye.
Okay,
Well,
aye. Good. We're all set. Okay, well set. Now, let's get back to the gravel. Becky, were you going to put up the?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just
Gave
asking.
me a few minutes, so I ran off and was working on something else.
You multitask very well.
Well, not at the right time, evidently. Share screen. And
This is a piece that always amazes me that you can do this.
share the screens, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't congratulate her yet.
Oh, she does very well at sharing screens.
Okay, so is that big enough for everybody to read?
Oh, yeah.
But one of
That's
the most important thing about Steve's proposal is his initial email, so.
Yeah.
Highway. Where's Steve? Okay. So
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't put the amount of $12,000 on that form anywhere.
well, we can add it.
Yeah.
Well, you were dealing with lots of different numbers. Here's the. Okay. Okay, so this was his email, and then he has completed a capital request form to go with it.
Now, I assume that these costs are based on the, do we get the gravel from the FERCog bid?
Yes, we do, right, Steve?
Yes, we do. Our first choice is Porter and Orange, and Delta is our second choice.
So, Steve, this is like more coarse. This is more bony gravel or something you're gonna put down as a base, right? Is that what it is?
It'll be a mix of the 1.5-inch crushed processed gravel and the hard pack.
Okay. So that's how you built the base.
Yeah, the 1.5 will go underneath and then the hard pack on top.
So this is good that you have designated areas, because in terms of the capital planning process, I think that's what we need, because it's got to be a capital improvement or maintenance on our road. I think that works. As far as I could tell from reading the document about our process here, I think that this will fly.
The only place we are violating our policy is the business of having everything in by, what is it, February 1st?
Yes, that's true. And that's a big one for me. And I have to say,
I know.
I wouldn't like this if I was like you, Ellen, or I don't know if you were present at the finance committee meeting, we discussed this, but we did already go over this. So I feel a little bit more at ease about this because I've had time to think about it and review our charter and now that I wish this information came in earlier. I don't know why we don't get it before
Well,
the meeting,
right.
but that's kind of frustrating. But I think this will work, and I do agree. It should have come in by the first. This kind of, I think it's because Steve had put it in his revised budget, and we on the finance committee trying to contain the growth in our budget, our general budget, wanted to try to address his needs in a different way. So
Yeah,
that's the background there.
thank you. For those of us that weren't at the FinCom, and therefore this kind of was a broadside.
AJ, did I describe that accurately? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think just right about the timing, it's important for people to know that Steve is bringing this to the capital planning committee because that was the recommendation that the finance committee made to him. So,
Okay. Now, another question, are we to assume then that every year we're going to get a $12,000 request from the highway for this gravel? Or will it eventually be put right in the operating budget of the highway department?
That's an excellent question.
We don't know at this time.
Mhm. Okay.
Steve, do you have any thoughts on that? I think your hand's up there.
Oh, yeah, he's got a hand up. I didn't even see it.
I do. So there are a couple of things. The first one is that when I went through the budget with the FinCom in October, I was totally in the dark as to the numbers because I had never been privy to how the budget season worked, what the numbers were, unless I was at town meeting and saw them. Otherwise, I was just not in the loop of how the budget was set. And so I went back and I sent the FinCom a semi spreadsheet of the numbers from fiscal year 2011 through 2024. And I learned that the gravel roads materials budget used at one point from 2011 to 2000 and fiscal year 21 was $30,000.
Oh.
And then Tim had cut it back down to 28 the last 2 years. And the material price has more than doubled in that time. So that's where I came up with if you took the 2011 numbers and did the inflation, it came out to 40. So that's where I went from 28 to 40. That's where that 12,000 came from.
Well, thank you for all your
And so
work
the
on
other,
this.
and the other piece was that it was pointed out that I had only used up 60% of my budget to this point, but it turns out that the first 3 months of the fiscal year, which I was not sitting in that seat, we used 275 yards of material. And in the 3 months plus that I've been sitting in that seat, we used almost 700. So that's the difference, is why I was looking for more, because I was shocked that we were that far apart.
I think you did a very good job in a very short period of time trying to figure this whole thing out. It's not easy.
Well,
Thank you for jumping on it, Steve.
the former superintendent loved paper, and no, you laugh, but
No, I know we
have
love
I
paper.
have to figure out where to look, but I can find any single thing, it's there somewhere.
And at least his writing was so legible, always, that you don't have to
Oh.
worry about that piece
And
once you
his
find it.
maps. His maps were A number one too.
Really, were they? That's good. Okay, so we have this situation where, incidentally, right now, is that a comma after the 12 in the last paragraph or a period? When I type, I tend to screw up my commas too. I think you want a $12,000 request with a comma. Looks like a period, but we know what you mean.
So
So
I'd like to ask one more follow-up question, if I might, Alan.
go ahead, fine.
To Steve, my concern is, this sort of brought up when we said that we would try to deal with this issue this year, that you have to put some thought into how this should be handled, whether this, as you said, you're replacing the base, or you're actually going into the base of the roads. Was that something that would be normally done, or was it, or just top dressing the roads?
Well, that's the thing. The last 10, 11 years, the highway department really has not built any road back up. We dug lots of ditches where we removed the road material that
Mm.
has washed into ditches. But if you drive most of our dirt roads now, where you see the cobbles and ledge sticking up, that's because there is no road left. We're right down to the base. And in some spots, we're right down almost onto Gary Dillman's red TRG.
Right. So I think, I'm just gonna make a suggestion. I think that you need to have a long-term plan for the roads and a kind of an idea how you're gonna address it, going forward, next year, whatever, so that we can try to get a grip on the cost and how to pay for it, how to finance it. And just so we can understand better what's coming and plan financially for it. All right? Does that make
Oh,
sense?
I agree.
That's a good
I was just
suggestion.
shocked to see when
Yeah.
I actually learned, got a handle on the numbers, how off they were.
Oh, yeah. Incidentally, should also be not only the dirt roads, but even the paved roads. When was the last time X road was paved or Y road was paved, and does it need to be relined and all that? We're good compared to some towns.
But doesn't that come out of a different source of funds, the chapter 80 or 90?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Chapter
chapter
90.
90 is what Shutesbury always uses on the roads, because
Mhm.
some towns will buy equipment and stuff with a chapter 90, but Shutesbury's been smart enough to always just focus all that money on the roads.
The paved roads.
That's correct.
And so the initiative in the State House for this year's budget about rural dirt roads, that might be something that we incorporate into our thinking next year too. So that might apply to us. We might benefit from that. Okay, thanks.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you, Steve, for all your work in a very short period of time. We appreciate it very much. Okay, so let's see, where do we go from here on the agenda? We met with the highway super. Oh, yes, information on storage box and building materials for the roof. Steve. Well, you've got to switch hats right now. Whoop, you're
muted, Steve.
on mute. You're on mute.
What are we doing now?
The comment here says, to review any additional information on generators and information on the storage box and building materials for roof.
So the generator, it's only those two bids. The other two people never responded back to my emails requesting them to do bids. And I had split them both up where the panel is part of the turnkey package, and it's also separate because that's the thing that is out of code and out of date and is a hazard.
Dangerous. Yep.
And I gave you all of the numbers the last time with the three storage boxes. Two of them had roll-up doors we could install ourselves, and one of them didn't offer those.
I don't think we knew about the cost, Steve, of the roof. Or if there is
Yeah.
any cost.
Yeah, I wasn't even asking for that.
Okay,
Oh, okay. Okay,
okay, so
I'm
we're
just
good.
trying to make
good
sure we
now.
cover everything.
We have everything then, right, Steve?
That's correct.
So we have the turnkey bid on the generator.
Yes, you have two of them, one from Marnie and one from Pechoric.
Sure.
And then
And the
you
panel-
also have
the
one
panel.
each from to replace the panel.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes. Boy, I'll tell you, if nothing else, they sure do like to waste paper. As I printed it all out, it was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, okay. Then highway, okay, meet with the fire department. Are we going to be meeting with the fire department tonight? Becky, no. Go up, you're mute, you're mute.
Lenny's not bringing anything forward. He's getting it prepared all for next year.
Okay, thank you. So we don't have to worry about that one. So then I guess after since we've now accomplished everything and, well, we're almost on time. Now we've got to start looking at the requests and voting on them.
Generator.
So. Well, when I started writing down, what we were going to be considering tonight, I said, well, okay, who came first to us? And then we'll start there and we'll just work down. So as you recall, our police chief came first and she requested a cruiser. And she had multiple different costs of different kinds of cruisers and went with recommended the least expensive one, which was through MHQ or whatever they're currently called. And so do I have a motion on anything pertaining to the cruiser?
Just I'm gonna ask a question, maybe Becky can answer it. Is she still keen on getting a pickup truck? Is that what she's requesting?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have I'm just trying to recall the figure. I had 60 to 65K, is that right?
Mm,
Does that sound off?
I don't know. You'd have to go through all the papers again, which is what I'm trying to do
Maybe
right now.
Maybe in Michael's minutes might have it.
Okay. Oh, is it an F-450? That sounds like super cab, so that would probably be the truck.
I don't think it's a 450, is it? It's too.
Well, no, I'm just looking at what I've got.
I think it's my
printouts
notes say
here.
would prefer Ford F-150 truck.
Yeah,
150, okay. Well, let me see what I can find.
I hope she's
Oh,
not
be-
getting a 450.
Wait a minute. Because
Oh, let's see. She's got
PCC Ford contract,
$70,000 on their
it's-
request.
well,
I've
there's
got a copy of-
60,000 for the 450. Oh dear. I don't see
Ellen,
any. I'm hunting through all the
I've
paperwork
got it
here.
here.
Oh, good. Thank you.
This is the request that she submitted. And for a cruiser, she has $70,000.
Okay.
That's her request.
I'm looking at all the MHQ quotes and going, yeah, I don't know enough about vehicles to know what's what. Okay, so she's requesting, is it one of these things up to 70,000?
Well, I think that's what it always is, but this is
Yes.
the request form that she submitted to us on the
Mhm.
here before us.
Okay. So do I have a motion pertaining to this?
We'll make a motion that we consider to vote yay for this request.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, then all those in favor of approving the chief's request, let's take a voice vote.
What, we have any discussion? Is there anybody?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? No, anyway.
Oh,
I
the
don't
only
see
thing I
anybody
wanna say, I
here.
just want to say,
Yeah.
she's not here, but I guess I'll tell her this when I looked at her documents and she's given us a long-term document for the police cruisers
Yeah.
and the expected lifespans and so forth. And in those documents, she shows the engine hours and
Hmm.
the engine hours on a regular civilian vehicle versus on our vehicles. And it's one of my pet peeves that police officers always leave their cars running. So you see, they've got these cars that have got 500% of ordinary hours on them with the same mileage because they to go on these details and they leave the car running. And it's like
Hmm.
wasteful of gasoline, wasteful of the environment, wasteful of the vehicle, annoying as hell. So why don't they just knock that off?
I
I'm not
have
gonna
no
vote
idea why
against
the
this vehicle.
policy is
I'm gonna
that,
vote against this vehicle if she doesn't agree to shut him off. You know, come on.
but I don't think this vehicle would necessarily be one that goes on details. A lot of times it's the older vehicles that go on details.
Well, every vehicle in her inventory has unbelievable hours on it, on the
Oh, I'm
engine,
sure. Sure they do.
because they leave them running all the time. So,
Maybe that's policy. I don't know. Be interesting to find out. Good question.
yeah.
So do we have, we had a vote, we had a motion to approve the purchase. We've had a second. Now let's take a vote. Is there any other discussion? Okay, all those in, let's start, okay, with a voice vote. So somebody, I'll start. McKay, yes.
Rod, yes.
Cashew, yes.
Groves, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, now her other request was the body cameras. And she was smart enough to be able to find a source of half of the funding, which is wonderful. And I guess we wonderfully fit in as a small town to that. And I think it sounds like she found a very good company to deal with too. And, we all know, I think, the necessity of having these body cameras and the fact that if we fail to have them, then we could be in serious trouble should an incident occur. So could I have a motion pertaining to the body camera purchase? At 11,000 $368.
Should we do up to 12,000 or?
Yes,
Just-
let's do up to 12,000.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the police department's request for $12,000 for body cams.
Second,
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, not seeing any. Could we start with a vote? McKay,
Aye.
yes.
Rod, aye.
Groves, aye.
Cashew,
that-
aye.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so that's the police done. Now we come to the highway department. And they have 3 requests there. The first is for the storage unit. And frankly, I'm very puzzled. We have so much data. I don't even know what they're talking for a cost.
About $4,500. I think, right, Steve?
Oh.
Is that the request?
Yeah, it was around, yeah, 4,500 with the roll-up door.
That was my take. That's what I understood.
Okay,
So I make a motion that we recommend or approve that request.
I'll second.
okay, is there any discussion? Okay, then let's take a vote.
Rod, yes.
Groves, aye.
Cashew, aye.
McKay, aye. Thank you very much.
And alphabetically too, Alan, have you know.
Oh, very good. And now the generator. And once again, I'm, with all the documentation, all the papers I got, I'm very puzzled as to which one which type of money we should be talking.
Steve, I have a note,
Go ahead.
$22,295, and that includes $3,800 for the electrical panel. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that would be the Pechoric one, yes. And I called him back to ask him why it was so low, because he told me off the cuff it was gonna be 25 to 30, and he said that's just how it came out.
Right.
So
Now,
what
I had
was-
a question.
oh.
So, but that doesn't include the propane tank? Is that correct?
I called George Propane and he was pretty sure that it was included in there. It was,
Okay.
but
Okay.
Well, that's
So,
no, because that could be a big expense if it's not.
So I better double check. So you talked to George Propane, not Pechoric, right, Steve?
that's correct.
Okay, so we just need to be sure they agree.
And you have Church's bid in front of you there, Becky, or somewhere?
Um,
Pechoric's bid, it doesn't say that. That's why I called.
doesn't,
It just
doesn't-
says $1,900 to hook the tank up.
we need a call to, I don't think he has the tank in there.
All right, I'll call him again.
So do we want to just add $2,000 for our vote, or we want to hold off?
We
No, I
really
think we should-
can't hold off because next Monday is the meeting with FinCom.
Well, we could stipulate that we're voting for something including the tank or something, you know? And
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to.
Yeah, and then
So we could
20
say,
someone else
we could make it up to 25K, I think,
Including a tank.
Mhm.
right? Including the propane tank.
But Steve, you're not done awarding this job. You're gonna be doing a competitive analysis anyway, right? I mean,
Yeah, we're gonna go back out to bid.
right, so we can sort out that if we provide enough funding, but we'll probably be over.
And we can turn it back.
Mhm.
I'm assuming it's a 1,000-gallon tank that would be needed, or,
I think it's the Marnie quote, I believe, George Propane, it's a 500-gallon tank.
okay,
Yeah, I think that makes more sense since it's only occasionally used and 500
Yeah.
gallons lasts you quite a while. More than any ice up or, power
Yeah.
outage we can anticipate.
yeah, the 1,000-gallon tank is the one at the town hall that's shared with the MLP hut. That's why it's so big.
Mhm.
So just for the highway, it should be 500 should be fine. And you guys think $2,000 is sufficient, or should we just say that we have to come up with that by the FinCom meeting, a price for that to add?
I think so. I think that's more than sufficient, actually, $2,000 for the tank.
Yeah, oh,
Certainly the piping is involved, is gonna be, I
1,900.
don't know if he included George's propane as part of his bid or not. That's something that Steve doesn't really know yet, right, Steve?
Well, George Propane thought that he was part of Pechoric's bid.
That's not quite conclusive, so. But, okay, well, if he,
We gotta get through to Pechoric.
Yeah,
Try to do that tomorrow.
okay, well, shall we?
I'll call Pechoric at 6:05 tomorrow morning. That's when you can get him.
Okay. Thank you.
God. Wow,
Yeah, my cell phone doesn't work when I'm sleeping.
yeah. Okay, well then, shall we just approve the purchase without a cost, with the knowledge that we're going to have to attach the cost once we get this piece?
Steve,
Ellen, why not do the bulk of the cost and just say the
Yeah,
tank
okay.
also needs to be added?
Okay,
And that
that's a
way
good
we're not
way of doing
over guessing or under guessing.
Steve, I just want to ask you, could you call Chorick right now and see if he'll answer the phone and give you this information? Because that would be useful.
Yeah, I can try that.
Then we'd have it wrapped
Okay.
up and we'd know.
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, then, since we're hung up on that. So let's jump down to the business with the school. That way that won't pertain to Steve and he can make his phone call. Now, we had an amazing bunch of stuff from the school, from the company that was doing the value, the work, determining the work that had to be done. And so we do have a pretty firm number there, do we not, Becky?
Yes, we have a firm number, that was quoted there. I just am gonna I was giving the, engineer, we had some questions for the engineer, and I believe he reduced the amount by $11,000. I just want to confirm that. I'm sorry, I just saw the email. So let me just call him really quick.
Okay. Don't have anything with the fire department. So now we're just kind of hung up waiting for people to make phone calls.
We could do the building committee while those
Oh, yes,
calls.
I'm sorry, I didn't put them on the list. Boy, let's do the building committee. And they were requested 40,000 to begin to handle all the situations they have discovered that are very much needed, that are there. I don't remember what the term they used was, but so do I have a motion pertaining to the building committee's request?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of $40,000 to the building committee for various town building repairs.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, is there any discussion?
I just want to add, just put some information out there. There's a line in the budget for, I don't know, it's $10,000 or maybe a little more for building repairs at the town hall, which Becky has said that she needs to maintain in the budget. I don't think it should be in the budget, and I'm gonna be discussing this more when we get to finance committee, because this money should go partly to all town buildings. This money for the building committee's account, including the town hall. So we'll have that argument later, I guess, but I want to just put that on the record here.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your argument that you
I
want?
say that at the last FinCom meeting, we discussing the budget. I pointed out that there's a line in the budget for building repairs for town hall, which you represented, you wanted to hold on to, and I represented should be should come out of this fund. So that I'm going to continue that argument or that point. If I vote for this, I'm going to be bringing that point to the FinCom as a way to reduce our budget and a way to make this process that we're introducing more coherent. Okay, I'll still support this. I think it's a good thing. I'm a longtime chair and member of the building committee. I think it's a good thing to have an account that can address continuing needs to repair and maintain town buildings. But that town hall is part of that.
I think, Bob, you are not aware of the many things that have to be done, and that's where your argument is coming from. So we will have that discussion.
Okay.
All right, so
Any other? Oh,
okay, well, I'll vote. I was just gonna say I'll vote aye for on that basis.
well, I'm gonna wait, let me see if there's any other discussion before we vote. Nothing. I don't see any hands up. So, okay, Bob, we're going to start.
Michael's name starts with a B, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to.
Okay.
I'll vote yes.
Groves, yes.
Cashy, yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, we're set on that one then. Did you manage to get a hold of anyone, Becky?
No, I didn't. So at this point, we need to go with the original number.
Okay, yeah, because if he reduced it by 11,000, it'll just be too high. but you should be
And
able
then
to
I
find
can
out.
get that information for the finance committee, because they're the ones focusing on money.
Right. Okay, so do I have a motion pertaining to the work at the school?
Can you give us the number, Becky, again? Because I know there was some money from on account and the request was for what wasn't gonna be covered by our estimates. What's the request from the capital planning?
From capital, to capital,
What's the request that we're voting on? Money wise, what's the dollar amount?
$163,460.
Oh, I thought that there was $150,000 left in the account from the bequest from the state that we were putting towards this expense.
But Bob, I think we addressed that.
Well,
It'll still
I-
cost
I-
that amount.
wait a minute, wait, we have too many people talking.
Sorry.
AJ, you started to say something.
Yeah, I just was gonna say that I think we should treat this like we did the school roof project where, you know, the capital project is gonna cost X number of dollars, maybe $163,000. It's then the finance, and we have to vote on whether to recommend approval of that. Then the finance committee has to address how to fund
fund.
that request if it's approved at town meeting. Part of that discussion will include tapping into those remaining earmark funds
Right.
that we have not spent, right?
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
still has a cost, and even if it's free money, we still have to account for it.
Free money. That's a stretch.
No, doesn't, there's never free money. But anyway, but you know, it's
So that
which pot
number-
is it gonna come out of?
Right.
So that number is 163,460 with a contingency. That's what I had in my notes.
And that includes the contingency?
That's what I have in my notes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then it's up to the FinCom to decide what pot it comes from. Okay, so do we have, did we get a motion? I didn't think we got a motion on that one. Did we, Michael?
No.
No, okay. May I have a motion, please, pertaining to this funding or this project?
The motion is to approve the number that Michael just quoted, 163.
Whatever. Yes.
For the work for school repairs and painting. Right?
Exterior
have a
repairs
yeah.
and, yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, now we go through the usual again.
Broad eye.
I'm gonna vote no on this because I think it's an extraordinarily high price of money to do that work.
AJ, you're next alphabetically.
Yeah, well, let me just make a comment, and then I'll give you my vote, just responding to Bob. I think if it's in, I'm not sure if you were saying you thought this was an extraordinary number for the work that is, you know, it needs to be done, or if just overall that project is not worthy expense. If it's the former, if you feel like this number is ultimately too high a price tag for the actual repairs that are going to be done, then, you know, the final number will be lower because this is going to be a competitive bid price process, and you know, we'll end up, you know, we'll end up not spending that full amount. So in any event, I'm going to vote yes to approve this.
Okay, well, I'll just say that just to answer your question, it was the former. I'm very familiar with that building, and of course I support the idea of repairing it and having it painted. It needs it desperately. It needs both the repairs and the painting, and it also needs some other issues which the building committee mentioned addressed, like the site grading and drainage and stuff. But I just think this whole way that this was done is going to be very expensive. So I'll support it in terms of the idea of doing the work. I'm in support of that. So I'll change my vote to that, and I'll bring my concerns up at the finance committee meeting. Does that make sense?
Well, that's a yes, Bob.
It's a yes.
Okay.
McKay, aye. Okay. So now we've completed everything except Steve. Are you back yet? And did you get a hold of Pachoric? Well,
I called both Pachoric and George, and I
Yeah.
just left messages.
okay. So now we're back to how we handle this vote for the generator.
Can I make a recommendation?
By all means.
I suggest we vote on a request up to $25,000 for the generator and propane tank. And I think sounded to me from what a couple of people said earlier that that should be sufficient.
I'd like to ask Becky a question, just to clarify in my mind what we're doing here. If we vote this as AJ just recommended, Becky, and then we find out that, say, George's cost was included in the estimate that was received by Steve from Church, can we change this number, before we go to town meeting?
Oh, yeah.
So we can change it to finance committee?
We've done that before, no.
Yeah, we have, right.
Yeah.
So we can change the
Yeah.
request. If we get new information from Steve that clarifies this question, we
Yeah.
can change.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
and so basically, until the final bids are in, all these numbers are subject to change. I mean. it
Right,
could-
but in terms of what's gonna be on an article in town meeting.
Yeah, on town meeting, you want it solidified, because it's gonna be what it is.
Right, right,
Unless it can go down on town meeting, it just can't go up.
okay. Great, thank you.
So now, do I have a motion finally? AJ, you're gonna vote?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to recommend approval of up to $25,000 for the purchase of a generator and propane tank for the highway department.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's go through the vote.
Rod, yes.
Rose, yes.
Cashew, yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, I think that's all, isn't it?
Think so. Unless you want to invent something else.
I don't
Well,
want to
should-
say anything. Oh,
I think, Ellen, don't we need to vote on the
Gravel?
the gravel road?
yeah, I
Gravel
know,
road.
that's what yeah, you're right. Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
It hasn't been,
I'm sorry, what, Becky?
I just wanted to share, although Lenny does not have any requests in, the one thing he thought of requesting last year was an AED. And
Ooh.
the
Oh, yeah.
response he got was, why don't you go out for a grant? Well, he received that grant a week ago.
Great,
So I just wanted you to know, Lenny,
great.
he's been trying things. He is listening. He's also received a grant for almost $8,000 for fire equipment, as
That's
well as a regular ongoing EMPG grant. But he did get almost, like almost $10,000 in equipment grants this year.
Great.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely one. And for somebody who had never written a grant proposal before, that's absolutely marvelous.
Yep, he's getting other firefighters are jumping in and helping him. So it's
Yeah. I'd
good.
heard that. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
That's
Absolutely
great.
super. He's to be congratulated then. Something, it almost would be appropriate for somebody to mention at a town meeting. Not to slight anyone else, but when you have brand new people taking a role and able to
yeah,
do
and
this kind of thing is really neat.
And Kristen has, she's getting that camera grant.
Oh,
as
I know.
well As she, earlier in the year, one of her officers received a baby car seat grant that has assisted a number of people. So, yeah, everybody's engaged. It's
And
a good-
that's
Sounds like the
wonderful.
highway department slacking.
No, there's not that many
No, I don't think so.
grants,
It's been
probably.
Done in 6 months.
So Steve,
Yeah.
aren't you gonna get a baby seat for one of your dump trucks?
Yeah, that
Okay.
could be, if you, to recruit young dads to work at the highway department.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so we still have the gravel to consider.
So what was the question about that? Why did we put that to the side?
We didn't, we just,
So it's $12,000, right, Steve?
yes,
Yes, I
It
was
was
asking for
12,000.
12, but I'd be happy with anything.
So I'd like to make a motion to recommend a capital project of $12,000 for gravel road rebuilding. Is that appropriate way
Good way
to
of
term
putting
it?
Building, road building or road rebuilding, Steve?
probably rebuilding.
Rebuilding and maintenance.
Mhm.
Rebuilding.
But we're focusing on the rebuilding to use capital money.
That's it, yes.
Mhm.
As you have it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Rod, yes.
Groves, yes.
Cashew, yes.
Okay, yes. Oh, very good. We have now succeeded. Oh. And we will now be meeting with the FinCom on I believe it's Monday, isn't it?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay, I
Wednesday,
had it
March.
down,
It's Wednesday the 6th?
Yes, the 6th.
Correct.
because I had it
March
down
6th.
on my phone as the 4th.
Nope, it's the 6th.
No.
Okay. That's no
We're not
problem.
allowed to meet, FinCom, we're not allowed to meet on election day.
Right, I know that, yes.
So we're meeting on
Okay. And I assume it's going to be a Zoom meeting. Am I correct? Okay,
Correct.
6.
very good. And
6:30
can
is-
you, go
6th.
ahead, I'm sorry.
What time do we want them, AJ, at the meeting? You
Yeah, I would suggest we do them first. And then we've got broadband that night as well. So I would suggest 6:45.
Okay,
Okay,
That work? Because we start at 6:30 and sometimes we need a few minutes just to.
yeah, well, you also probably need to review your minutes.
Yeah.
6:45 on Wednesday.
Michael, what was the number for the cruiser? I'm sorry, I had crashed during that discussion.
$70,000 is what you had on a request, Becky.
70,000, yeah. What we voted on.
I'm busy putting the time and the correct date in here.
In
Okay,
terms of that meeting, I've been warning everybody that my daughter is expecting a baby any minute now. So it's sometime in the next week, definitely. So if I'm not there, start
we'll
without.
know why. We'll know it's a happy time.
Good.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. Do they know if it's a boy or girl?
Yes, they do. It's a boy.
Oh, Aaron's gonna have a little brother.
Aaron's gonna have a brother. Yep.
Nice. That's great. Okay, then. Well, I thank you all for all your work this year, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday, and we can finally complete the job.
Good.
And we'll see you then.
Good
Can I make
night.
a motion to adjourn?
Good night. Yeah,
Yes.
oh, that's right. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Do we vote on that? I'm never
Yeah,
sure.
you gotta
But
do roll
everybody
call, I'm
agrees.
afraid.
Okay, we've got to do roll call even on
All our
that.
votes are unanimous tonight anyway. So.
Right. Okay, well, come on, Michael, say yes. So we
Yes.
can,
Groves, yes.
Cashew, yes.
okay, yes. Thank
Night,
you all
everybody.
and have a good weekend.
Thank you, good
Night,
night.
everybody.
Good night.